You know, I think as representative government, if you go back in the history of this great country, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution that we all revere, were articles of compromise. And, you know, I basically consider myself to be a fiscal conservative. I have some strong principles. I've proven that. But I think we need to be fiscally responsible, fiscally prudent, and I think we need to problem solve. And so you can dig yourself into holes sometimes because of your ideology, and you're inflexible. So I think when it's for the best, and we get a lot of input from people and hear different ideas and things, sometimes we have to make tough decisions. But I think that this representative government is built on compromise, and I'm sad that the word compromise has taken a negative connotation. Because, you know, all the people in the city love this city, and we need to come together and be united and have different ideas. But the only way we're going to do that is we're going to have to compromise a little bit. And it worries me when people are unwilling to do that.
Leaders are supposed to make stands. They're supposed to say what they truly believe in and stick to their guns. And that's sometimes not the popular thing to do. I was watching a show about Winston Churchill, and he had a choice of telling the French Navy that they had to either come to a British port or face them being shelled. And he ended up doing that, his own ally, in order to save his country. So sometimes there's times when you need to stand and stay to your beliefs, principles. And there's a time for compromise too. We wouldn't have had the Constitution if it hadn't worked out the difference between the Senate and the House of Representatives and how to do that. So that was a great compromise. States with large populations, states with small populations. It worked it out. Those kind of things are going to be in front of us as a town council, and there's give and take. But when it comes to core values, I think there's a position there that says you don't change.
We're talking about compromise. Let me suggest to you that in politics, compromise is a temporary expedient. Think about it. When Mr. Irwin and I have a disagreement and we come to an impasse, perhaps both of us are right, or both of us could be wrong. You see, the point is, I'm not the same person I was 30 years ago when I moved into Highland. We had R140. We've changed the general plan several times. It's a living document. We need compromise. We cannot live today with R140 in every part of the city. We have high-density housing. We're bringing ourselves to a point of build-out, and what we want is an end product that will do what we intended to do 30 years ago. And that is provide a place where we can live that is beautiful and provides for our needs, and we must decide how much do we want to pay for that beauty and that peace.
I agree to some extent. Principles are what make us. But without compromise in government, we often just have to stalemate. And so I agree that that has to be part of what we do. But we never have to lose touch of what our responsibilities are. A court case in 1980 with Highland City, relevant to the gravel pit that Gibbons and Reed wanted to operate, was Highland was denied the right to force annex that property. And during that time, the judge stated clearly what the responsibilities are for a community. These are the things you have to do because you're a subdivision in the state of Utah. They are transportation, they are health, they are safety, and they are zoning. And those items are what you have to do. The fact that we didn't repair roads for a number of years and spent money on other things because we over-indebted ourselves, we stepped way out of the boundaries of what is appropriate for a city to be doing. To take out a $6 million bond that's based on revenue coming into the city, not a general obligation bond that went to vote for the people to decide what they wanted, but we indebted ourselves with, let's take every source of revenue and see if we can pay off the debt that we've set for ourselves. That should have been stood up and battled by a lot of people instead of unanimous votes, so let's go ahead and put ourselves $1 million in debt.
Who's the firebrand? Anyway, he says this, Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton wrote this, that he was not an unpassionate man. He said, and a further reason for caution in this respect, he's talking about arguments between people opposed and supporting the Constitution, might be drawn from the reflection that we are not sure that those who advocate the truth are influenced by purer principles than their antagonists. Ambition, avarice, personal animosity, first-party opposition, and many other motives not more laudable than these are apt to operate as well upon those who support as those who oppose the right side of the question. So when I am discussing, and I find value in discussing with people who oppose my point of view, I can't assume that their motives are any better than mine, is what he's saying. Or the person who supports or opposes me has better motives. And I always remember that. So I love having discussions with people that disagree with me, and I think that's the way we get to a good point where we can make intelligent compromise. I know when the road fee came up, I had a lot of discussion with my friends, most of who disagreed with me, and I think it benefited both of us because it made us think about our positions and research them. So I approve compromise.
I think today we are looking at a situation where we have our Congress and the President at a total impasse because they appear to be stuck on their various principles, and they've reached a gridlock where they can't govern. Obviously that doesn't necessarily apply to us at the city level, but I think we have that as a great example of where principles have driven people beyond the point of making practical solutions. From my perspective, I think it's critical that as a city we make or find pragmatic solutions to our problems. For example, the road repairs. That's a great example of where we need to step back and find what is going to be best for the city. For example, a year ago, the city council tried to increase property taxes so that they could fund the road repairs. That was rejected primarily due to a potential referendum that was brought forward. This year, a fee was proposed as an alternative to property taxes. That also is being opposed through a referendum. We have to have practical solutions, pragmatic solutions, so that we can solve our problems going forward. We can't oppose everything that's going on in the city, or we'll reach a gridlock and not be able to function properly.